Alright, so I'm here with Bridgette Reaux, publisher, motivational speaker, and author of the book He Who Has an Ear, Let Him Hear. So let's get right into it. First off, I want to know, what made you want to write a book?
Well, to be honest, I never saw myself as an author. I was actually inspired to write my book by my younger son. And in hindsight, as I look back over my journey, I feel as though Source Energy was always orchestrating me to be in this position in my journey to be an author. You know, and sometimes in your journey, other people could see things in you that you don't even see in yourself. It was at that time in my life when I had no books all around the house, just lying around in every room. And when my son said I should be an author, I looked at him and I was like puzzled, like, an author, where would you get that from? But meanwhile, I had already been writing my story, my journey. And when I began to write, it was just so beautiful. It was just like I'll get woken in the middle of the night and just had things to write and to share with people, and I would read what I wrote, and it was just so beautiful and so amazing. So I just feel like now that it was what I was born to do.
So what is your book about? You talk about this journey, like, what does that entail?
Well, it's a mind, body, and soul book. It's about loving yourself. It's about paying attention to the God within you. It's about becoming a greater version of yourself. You know, sometimes in our journey, it's the smallest things that we overlook, you know, that can dumb us down and decrease our frequency, and that can stop us from becoming. It can be things like holding on to past hurts and wounds that can stop you. You know, your heart chakra being out of balance. Those things that I wrote about in my book. I talk about things that dumb us down, like live foods and food, you know, because we have foods that'll heal us and foods that'll kill us. And so live foods, they increase our frequency and allow us to become more mentally stable, more mentally clear, and more conscious, you know, more awakened. I think they clean the temple. I know they do. They clean the temple to a point where you have mental clarity and you can begin to hear angelic beings or your higher self talking to you and guiding you. And so that's what my book is about. It's about letting go of past hurts and wounds and just opening up all energy portals in your body to become better. Because there's a God inside of you, there's a God inside of me, there's a God inside of us all. We are here for expansion and growth. And so my book can help anybody along their journey in that area.
So how do you know these things? Like, what puts you in a position to be able to speak on all of these things about source energy and...
Right. Well, I believe that our lives are just orchestrated by source energy, as if it is some type of puppet master that's leading us here and guiding us there, and we have to learn this on this platform and this when we grow from that. You know, it's all a big puzzle that's being put together, because you're gonna do, no matter where you start off in your journey, the very thing that you were sent here to do. You can go to Yale or you can go to jail, but you're gonna end up doing the thing that you were called to do in this journey. And so in my journey, in the beginning of it all, you know, I grew up in a house where I didn't have my father. You know, as a little girl at 5 years old, my mother and father divorced, and that really hurt me as a little girl, because I felt like I missed out on my first love. And I took that hard. I took it hard to the point where that I would cry out in my closet as a little girl all the time, just wanting my father. You know, I became an overachiever in school because I just wanted daddy to come home. I didn't understand what divorce was, and it hurt me so much, you know, when I realized that daddy wasn't coming. When the weekend visits of father, you know, and daughter relationship at, you know, at Pizza Hut or the park or wherever we would go to, when those visits were no more, it really hurt me and devastated me. And I began to stop loving. I began to get defensive. I began to hold on to that hurt in a bad way, instead of knowing. I didn't understand how to release that. And I didn't understand that it wasn't me. So I held on to that hurt and that pain, and I began to say, well, I don't need daddy. That was the worst thing that I could do for myself. And I just didn't care for him for a long time. And it was hard for me to forgive him for those things. But then I fell in love with going to church, because my mother was into the ministry all the time, you know. And so I would go to church all the time with my mother, because I felt some type of love there, you know, from the people there, from the word that was spoken there. And I realized that I needed to let go of past hurts and pains in my life. And one day I reached out to my father and I told him it would have been beautiful if you were in my life. It would have felt so good, but I forgive you and I love you simply because you are my Father. And so when I begin to release that energy and open up my heart chakra, I begin to let go of the reasons why I was in that closet crying, asking for daddy and wanting daddy, and wondering what was wrong with me, what was so bad about me that daddy wouldn't come back. And I flipped that mentally in my mind, and I began to figure out, well, what is so amazing about me? What is so beautiful about me that I'm going through all of these things on my journey? You know, because I would often even get sick, you know, and I would go to the doctor and they never knew what was wrong with me. You know, so when we hold on to hurts in our physical realm, in our heart, you know, it's because something on the spiritual realm hasn't been cleared. Some chakra pool is stagnated, and I realized that was my heart. But when I let that go, I begin to not be sick anymore. I begin to start educating myself on wellness, and I just want to be able to be a blessing to other people. You know, from the hurt and the pain that I've been through, from the sickness to wellness, from the dis-ease that I would often experience to mental clarity. I just want to be able to help people along their journey. That's all.
So the things that you know now, do you wish that you knew them when you were younger, or do you just believe everything happens on its own time?
I believe it was perfectly orchestrated by source energy. And the timing was just perfect. I wouldn't change anything because I've gained so much knowledge along the way. I never knew about the different foods. I never knew about my hair being antennas and coils that connect me to source energy. I never knew about my melanin and the carbon-based structure that I am made of. I never knew. I never even considered thinking about these things. I never knew about chakras. I had to have my chakras to be out of balance in order for me to realize what they were and how to get myself back in line and connect back to my source of energy. I never knew those things, but I believe that my life was perfectly orchestrated in order for me to gain knowledge in those things. And I didn't go through those things for me. I went through those things so I can be a voice to be able to help others.
So for my final question, do you have, if you could give anyone one piece of advice to help them along their journey, what would it be?
One piece of advice: know thyself. Know thyself. Go within thyself to get to know thyself and realize that there's a God inside of you. Don't just sit there and just take what pastor said and take that word. Don't just take what the doctor said and take that word. No, go within. Study. We all should be like in the spiritual world. They say in church, they say you have to rightly divide the word of truth. Go within and rightly divide the word that is true in your heart and in your soul, because there's a God, I promise you, within you that's just waiting to come out.
All right.